Hello everyone and welcome back to another Bimmer Fixer video, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to change out your power steering fluid in your e60 or e61. I'm going to be changing the reservoir as well. I'll do this because there's a filter actually inside the reservoir, so I'm going to change it because it can't do any harm. Whilst I talk about reservoirs, there's quite a common mistake that I've seen happen on and off of YouTube, and that's because BMW use the same reservoir, and they have done for years, like even in the 80s. But when it changed over from ATF to CHF 11S, all they did was they just put a sticker on the reservoir but left the ATF stamp on the lid of the reservoir. Over time that sticker comes off, so people will look at the lid and think it takes ATF. It doesn't. You see it takes CHF 11S, which is the green one. So if your E60's got red, more than likely got the wrong power steering fluid and you need to switch it out. If you've got all ATF in it, it's not the end of the world, but it's ideal to change it out. The problem comes when you mix ATF with CHF 11S. Okay, so what we're going to need our new reservoir. So we've got one here from Febby, obviously our fluid, and you're going to need a couple of Jubilee clips or hose clamps. This is because the clamps that are on the factory reservoir, they're those ones that seal and you can't really use them. So we've got some clips there to replace it. So what we need to do to drain it off, what we're going to do is pull out the bottom hose from the heat exchanger, and then that'll allow us, if we turn the steering wheel, to drain all the fluid out of the system, change the reservoir, top it back up and bleed the system. So what we're going to do now, car up in the air, usual procedure, car up in the air, get it secured, get the under tray off, and then I can show you where these hoses are. Okay, so once the car's up in the air, got your axle stands in place with your wheel chocks, you can then, and once you've removed your under tray, you can then see where the hose is, and it's this one just here. So this is for your power steering. Now, if you've got e60 or e61 and you've got active steering, your cooler is slightly different. So it may be in a slightly different position, just like the 1 Series with the N52, it's in a slightly different position. So to remove this hose, if I can get a better angle, I will get you set up properly in a second, but just to give you an idea, this little collar here, you can see this goes towards the back of the car, okay, so towards this metal clip, and then you need to put pressure on the hose pushing forward. So you push forward here, back on that collar, and then that opens those little tabs there, and that will release it. Just make sure you've got a tray, a good sized tray underneath. I'm going to try and get a white tray so we can see the condition of the fluid that's in there at the moment, but when you come to do it, just make sure you've got something big enough to catch it all. Okay, so hopefully you can see that okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to push this way with the hose, and then this little collar we're going to push the opposite direction. So hopefully I can do it with just my hands, but we're pushing. There we go. There we go. Nice. If I can get that tub, and we'll just catch some of that. So you're looking to get as much as you can out as possible. What we're going to do in a second is I'm just going to turn the steering wheel hard lock left and right, and then that will force any more fluid out. But looking at it already, it's looking pretty grim. Look at that current pouring into there. Let's see if I can get you around to have a look. So there you go. You can just see it through the light there. It looks like there might be a touch of ATF in that, which is never good. But like I say, you've got to, if you saw that the lid and it says ATF, you wouldn't, can't be blamed for not knowing that that's not supposed to be in there. Right. Okay. So we're going to keep an eye on that. God, it stinks as well. We're going to keep an eye on that, make sure it doesn't make a mess. And then we'll do the steering wheel over to hard lock. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just going to go and do the steering. We're going to let you keep an eye on it, see how much more comes out. Okay, sorry about that, the wind blew the camera over. As you can see, it looks a lot redder on camera than it does in real life. In real life, you can definitely see the green and the red. So it looks like someone has mixed ATF with CHF 11S. I've double checked and it is definitely supposed to be CHF 11S. So what we're going to do now is, now that's all drained, as you can tell, it definitely needed doing, we're going to remove the reservoir here. It's worth pointing out as well that the hose is back on now as well. Don't forget to put that back on. So what we're going to do, we're going to remove these bolts here. That will lift it up. Then we're going to release a bolt there, and that's going to let go of the actual reservoir. As that comes up, that's going to give us access to the hoses in the bottom, which we'll then remove, and then we can get our new one ready to pop in with our Jubilee clips. Okay, so these two are 10mm. Let's get those out of the way. Okay, in addition to just taking the bracket off of there and loosening it off of the reservoir, I just found it easier just to remove the whole air box, which is just unplugging the MAF sensor there, release that Jubilee clip, and then you have 3 of these. You've got one there, and one there, and then it just all lifts out. There's no, no biggie. So now the reservoir is loose. We can see underneath it there, so you can see the 2 factory clips there and there. So I don't know what that one's doing, but we're going to remove those now. Put some rag or get something underneath, because there's going to be, possibly some stuff left over in the reservoir. So we'll do that now, and then we'll get ready for the new one. Okay, so just to give you an idea, these clips come off fairly easy. If you just pop a flathead screwdriver just in that little gap there where my finger is, and give it a twist, then that lifts off like that. Okay, so just so you give you an idea on how they come off. Okay, so that's the old one removed. Not even a drop loss, that's good. So once you've got the airbox out of the way, again, it does make it easier, because you can bring this forward and kind of lean it back a bit, and it reduces the chances of spilling any. So now that's done, we can now get our new one ready. I say out the ready, all we've got to do is get out of the box. Okay. So we've got one larger and one small entrance and exit. So the exit's the large one and the inlet is the smaller one. So what we'll do first is we'll get the Jubilee clips. These go from 16mm, I don't know if you can see that, 16mm to 25mm, okay? And they seem plenty big enough. If anything, probably a smidge too big for that smaller one. Okay, so then we just take off, he says. God, bloody hell, Febby. Get those off. Okay, and then we can, so get the old one out of the way. With our bracket, pop it into the bracket ready. Kind of get it in a rough orientation. So you can just see there where they kind of naturally sit there, giving it the finger. Then just pop it in like that. Okay, so then what we can do is we'll get our smaller one. Let's just go for the bigger one first, because it's further away, and just push that on. Give it a wiggle. Same again there with the smaller one. You want to make sure that they are all the way home, which they are. And then what you need to do is bring those Jubilee clips up, sit them round the top, get the bracket. If we get the bracket in place as well, in fact, we might even be able to sit that back on. Like so. Just give the hoses another wiggle, because they might twist a bit now they've got a slightly different orientation. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to bring the Jubilee clips up, past the bracket, like that, and we'll get them set in, get the bolts back in there, and then we're ready to fill it back up. Okay, so that's our bracket back in place now. What we need to do is we just need to make sure that the bracket's actually in the locating pin at the bottom. So at the bottom of the bracket there's a little pin that sits into like a little grommet. You've got your 10 mils there and 10 mil on the bracket holding the actual reservoir. So I'll quickly just do that now. There. And obviously we've got our Jubilee clips in. I forgot to mention actually, I'll put all the links for the everything in the description. The Febby reservoir are actually on offer at the moment on Amazon from their official store. I think it's like £20, so definitely worth doing. And I think the CHF was about a tenner, I think, from Halfords. Okay, so now that's all insecure and it's all done, we're ready to pop in our new fluid. So what we'll do is just take the lid off there. So on the lid there are some little measuring lines you can just see. Also in there is a filter. So what we'll do, should be about a litre. So I'm going to pop in a litre straight off the bat, or most of the litre straight off the bat. And then what I'll do, so fill up as much as I can, is I'll then just do some, there we go, so that's probably, yeah, 2/3. So what we'll do now is I'll put the lid back on the reservoir, like so, and then I'm just going to go from hard lock left and right, just to get it through the system, come back and then we'll check the level again, because actually we'll have a look now, see where it is now, to give you an idea. So see how it's like obviously well over full at the moment, but I'll go do some hard turns over left and right, and then we'll see how much it drops. Okay, so what I did was I went 10 times left, 10 times right, just alternate, just keep going from lock to lock. There we go, it's literally just at the bottom now, it's barely touching. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to fill up some more, because you want to fill up as much as you can without overfilling it before you start the car, because you don't want the pump running dry. Just pop a bit more in like that. So we're best part of a litre now. We've used 750 ml. Let's see where that registers on the stick now. So it's just a smidge over full. So I'm going to go do another 10 left and right, so 20 altogether. Check it again, top it up, then I'll start the car, do the same again, 10 each way with the engine on, and then take a final measurement, and then hopefully we'll be done. Okay, so we've done another rotation of 10 each way. This is also bleeding the system, which is obviously very, very important, hence why the oil keeps going down. So there you go again, it's barely touching the bottom. So just check for leaks as well, obviously not this far in, check as soon as you put the fluid in, which is what I did, I just forgot to tell you. So now, let's see. Okay, so that should be pretty much there we go, so smidge over full again, and we are literally have the tiniest little bit left in the bottom. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to start the engine now, run it for another cycle of 10 each way, 10 lefts, 10 rights, and then yeah, hopefully that should be it done. Okay, got ahead of myself there. Don't start the car without the airbox back in place, obviously. So, because I didn't show you how I took everything apart, I'm going to show you how it all goes back in. So, first thing back in is the airbox itself. There's a hose on the front there. You've got to make sure that gets located properly, and there's a bit there where there's a bung at the bottom, and it just locates in there. So, pop it in, kind of just give it a wiggle and a twist like that. So make sure that hose is lined up at the bottom and that lug is in at the bottom. Like so. it's also worth just making sure before we put everything back in that everything's all secure. If you've got a Jubilee clip there on the inlet, just make sure it's in a good place to be able to get to it. Don't let it spin round, because once it's all back in, it's tricky to spin that Jubilee clip back round. So once that's back in, then we get our Torx screws back in. Just do them up finger tight for now, just so we know everything's going to go back in the right position, so we don't pinch anything. But once everything's all back in, the hose at the front is located properly, then we can just go and knit them all up so they're all nice and tight. Right, then we're ready for the air filter to go back in. Oh, it is due a service, so you have to excuse the state of it. Okay, then we go for top of the airbox. So got to locate the two tabs at the bottom, make sure that the MAF sensor connector's out the way, and just got to kind of line everything up all at the same time, like that. It will hopefully naturally just find its way home, which is what that's just done. So that's in there nice. So put the clips back on. One there, one there. MAF sensor there. Make sure that is home securely, because you'll have all sorts of issues if you don't. Pull the hose forward. That's nice and secure like that. And you get a socket or a screwdriver. I'll go for a screwdriver on there. It's just easier. And tighten it up like so, and then you've got this one here that just goes into a clip. So that's everything all back in and secure. So now I'm going to start the car up, run through that cycle again of bleeding the system, just go alternate, full lock left, full lock right, do that 10-15 times, come back, check it again. And okay, just in case you weren't sure on what I was doing when I say go over full lock, you need to go all the way over one direction to full lock, and then all the way back again, like that. So I've done this loads now, and I can already tell it's a lot smoother and a lot lighter. Not so light that it feels disconnected, but just feels just right. So yeah, so what we'll do now is hurry up before the rain starts. It's not looking good. So we'll shut her off, and then we'll have a look inside, and then we should be all done. Right, okay, so after our bleed with the engine running, I'll have a look now. You can just see there, just a smidge under, which is perfect, because what we'll do now is we'll just put the last of that litre bottle in. I say last, that was quite a bit there. Let's see where that's taken it to. Oh, I'll take that. Yeah, that's literally bob on full. Okay, so there we go. That's it, all done. All that's left now to do is just to put the under tray on. You can use some brake cleaner just around that hose underneath, just to get any excess power steering fluid that's leaked everywhere. But yeah, all done. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please get a thumbs up. Any questions, please ask away in the comment section. I'll get back to everyone as quick as I can. And if you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing. And for all my current subscribers, thank you very much. I appreciate it as always. And the rain is literally just starting, so I'm going to get a move on. Thanks very much, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.